A little over a year ago, we got a look at Oppo's solution to a pretty interesting problem. Especially since the front-facing cameras are becoming important for self-portraits, what do you do when its quality just doesn't match the rear-facing camera? Well, in the case of the N1, Oppo decided to just rotate the rear-facing camera and make it face forward. It was a definitely different phone, one that we were quite happy to use, but its camera just wasn't the best implementation. And then, very recently, I got a look at the newest iteration of it. Not only have they shrunken the phone down to make it easier to hold, but they brought back the rotating camera with a couple of enhancements of their own in this iteration. And I'm happy to bring you finally the unboxing and the first impressions on the Oppo N3. And here we are with the box of the Oppo N3. The first thing that I noticed was, well, the box is actually kind of thick, and to be honest, it's pretty heavy as well. If you look on the back here, what it will tell you is that the weight of this phone is 192 grams. That is obviously sizable, but so was the N1, and the N3 slims down just a little bit when compared to the previous edition. This is typically the design that the Oppo boxes come in, just simple white, Oppo logo on the front, plastic off, and then you just take the top part off, and there it is, the Oppo N3. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and just put that aside for now and take a look at what's underneath that extra panel. As always, just grab that panel out of the way. And it looks like we do get some headphones here, which is awesome. And they come in this nice little box right here. Kind of standard. They look like they're pretty nice earbuds that go right into the contours of one's ear, much like IEMs. So that's always great. We also have the O-Click. Now this is going to be a great way of triggering the shutter button on the phone without you actually having to hold the phone. And the O-Click has a different look this time around. I would say it doesn't look quite as sleek as it did in the previous edition, but then again, we have 5 buttons for control here that will be able to move the camera up and down and be able to trigger it hands-free, basically. The VOOC fast charger has also been enhanced. It has now not the tether on there. You will be able to connect a USB charging cable into here. And even though the actual plug adapter itself is a little bit bigger than most, it's still smaller than the previous VOOC charger that was with the Oppo Find 7. And of course the SIM tray tool here, and underneath we have documentation along with the micro USB charging cable. And that is the unboxing for the Oppo N3. Alright, and here we are with the actual unit in the hand. I really like the size of this particular N series from Oppo. 5.5 inches is the perfect size for a phone like this, as opposed to the huge N1 that honestly was just unwieldy. Even if you were going to be taking a lot of self-portraits with it, it just was too big to handle when you were trying to do so. But of course, we have the rotating camera up there, and it does have this stitching on here, the faux leather that you might have remembered from the Galaxy Note 3, and it's interesting that that's the only part that gets it. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this plastic off and get started looking at the innards, or rather the software of the phone. Power button is over here on the left side, as it usually is for Oppo, and we're just going to power on the phone and start having some fun. And there you go, the setup was actually not too bad, not a whole lot of things to do there, but as we go through all of ColorOS here, just a nice quick look, we're going to have a few of the same tropes from before, including these media pages that are found on the home screens, which are usually pretty nice, and the ability to put in all of the various widgets and whatnot. So there is no app drawer here, which is something that a lot of Android users, at least that I know of, may not necessarily like. You'll be using a lot of folders and whatnot, but it still has that nice look. As long as you're able to keep things pretty organized, you'll be able to keep things looking pretty neat. After that, we have the notification drop down here with the usual toggles here, and there are quite a few of them that include now power saving, personal hotspot, even a quiet time one if you don't want to be disturbed during times like, say, sleeping. Jumping over to the settings, we do still have the same look and feel from the previous iterations of ColorOS, but my favorite part about ColorOS, as it has always been, is the gesture area. When you have the screen on, you can use custom gestures and whatnot, and these are just a few of them that are available. And the same goes for when the phone is off, or rather the screen is off. When the screen is off, you can double tap it to wake up, which is a great one to have. You can draw an O on the screen to start the camera, and that's of course something we're going to be taking a very long look at. And there's the circle, and here comes the camera. So we're already looking at the camera. We're just getting into it right now, might as well. It says here, swipe up and down to control the camera rotation. So you don't have to do it manually yourself, even though that is certainly possible. So if we're going to swipe up. Now there you go. Swiping down brings it over to the other side. Touch shutter will allow you to use this back button right here. You can hold on to the touch sensitive area to start a little bit of a focus right there. You can see it focusing a bit. And then once you press all the way down, there you go. And of course, it will be the motorized system that will get a lot of attention here. In the past with the Oppo N1, we had to manually rotate the camera ourselves in order to get to the self-portrait area. And that could still be the case. You are still able to do so, and you can have a setting there to trigger the camera when it is rotated automatically. But of course, when we have this button here to go to the front-facing camera, that actually means we're going to rotate it, and I don't have to do it myself. I'll hit that, and it goes right over. But of course, we also have another way of triggering the camera and also its rotation, and that is the O-click that I have right here. I've gone ahead and put my battery into it, and we have 5 buttons on here, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the directional areas and the one in the middle. And if I go to the home screens, I can just hold the button in the middle and it will trigger the camera. From there, I can hold the down button. That will make it go forward in this case, but I can hold the other button up here to make it rotate all the way around to the self-portrait mode. And from there, I can take yet another picture, nice and easy. I'll go ahead and bring it up just a little bit so you can get my face and camera there, and hit the shutter button on the O-click. For now, I'm going to reserve my thoughts on the actual picture quality from the 16 megapixel camera, as I will be taking this phone out for a camera shootout very soon, and I'll take a bunch of self-portraits, or selfies if you want to call them, with not just me, but with plenty of other people, and we'll see what the quality is in those pictures when they come out. But for now, here are some shots just that I took around my house for you to be able to judge for yourself, at least in this first look. From a design standpoint, I have to say once again that the 5.5-inch screen really helps make this phone that much more accessible and in line against the other competitors that have similar sizes in their screens. But I also have to mention this one design aspect that I think really helps it out, and that's this line that you're seeing a close-up of right now that protrudes out of the sides. You're also seeing the button layout here that includes the volume rockers on the right, but also the ports. The headphone jack is on the right side, and near the bottom on the left side is the micro USB charging ports. But this line that protrudes out of the sides really gives you a very tactile, very tangible feel when you have your fingers on the sides gripping the phone, because you can really feel your grip on there. And I think it actually helps even more, just as much rather, as the 5.5-inch screen size. Check out the content from my colleagues in Android, where you can see a couple of them over on the side. Actually, you can see one, and I'll give you my first look at the Oppo N3 that I did back in Singapore about a month or two ago, and you can get a little bit more information on this phone that will be available. And stay tuned for the camera shootout and full review on this in the future. Drop us some likes on our videos, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and remember that AndroidAuthority.com is your source for all things Android.